If you want to set yourself up to start building wealth in 2026, then you need to audit your finances. Every new year, we set goals and we create this beautiful vision board of all our hopes and dreams and our financial goals for the year. And we just cross our fingers that this is the year that we're going to get our finances in order. We're going to reach some financial goals. But sometimes at the end of the year, you realize that something is missing. And that's because before you go and set your financial goals, you need to audit your current finances and set that starting point. And that's what we're going to do today. We are going to take some time, kind of like a workshop on auditing our finances, what we did last year, and kind of reflect on it and set that foundation. And then we are going to move into setting some financial goals. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to walk you through auditing your finances so you can have a starting point. Because before you go out there and start saying, hey, I want to save this much, I want to reach X amount of money in my investment accounts, you need to take some time and set a foundation, get a starting point, and see what it is that you were doing, what maybe you did not necessarily wrong, but could have done better. And we're going to go through this together. And the first thing we're going to do is check our financial vital signs. What is going on in our finances right this second? Now, before we get into it, because we're going to go into our debt, we're going to talk about monthly spending and our net worth and all that, I do have a Google Sheet. It's my monthly money plan and yearly tracker. You could get a free copy. I'll have it linked in the description and the show notes. And that's what I'm going to be using in this video. And if you're listening to this in the podcast and you want to follow along, definitely pause, go get your free copy, and then come back and we'll go through it together. The other thing you want to do before we get started is have a list of your expenses, your debt, all that stuff. Maybe look at some bank accounts and get an idea of what you've been spending on, because we're going to use all that information to input into this tracker. All right, so this is my monthly money plan and yearly tracker. It has a lot of tools for you to track your expenses, your net worth, and all of that. Again, you can follow the link below in the description or in the show notes, and you will be prompted to create your copy. And if you look down below, you'll see the tabs, and I want to basically rip the band-aid off the bat, because I think once we overcome this big obstacle, because debt is very triggering and you might feel like guilty about it or whatever. So let's go ahead and just rip the band-aid off and face it. So I do have a tab for you to track your debt right here. I'm going to fill it out with you. Now, everything in yellow on my tracker are blocks that you can edit. So for example, right now, I am only going to do myself just to make it simple and not include my husband at this moment, but I do plan to later then do our joint one. Okay, so this is the debt summary tab. This is where you're going to input your information. Starting with the upper left-hand corner, you put your monthly income. And then in the middle, you'll see that it will automatically add up all your debt. And then on the right hand side, you'll see that it automatically calculates your debt to income ratio, which is something that you want to look at if you are planning to like apply for a mortgage loan or something like that, because you want to stay below a certain amount to get the best financing options. And also just to track for yourself, maybe you have a goal to be under a certain ratio. Now in the middle is going to be your debt obligations, but this is mostly for like credit cards. Down at the bottom, you'll see that I have for loans like the mortgage, car loan, and I just like to have them separate, because here in the middle, you'll get like your minimum monthly payment. You'll see that it'll automatically calculate an estimate of a minimum monthly payment. And then that way you can then use that to plan actually paying it off. And in the future, I want to add a tab to help you figure out how much you need to pay it off within a certain time, or vice versa, how long it's going to take you to pay off this debt if you're paying X amount of dollars. But I gotta add it to here. But if you are in my email list, then you'll see when I update, I'll add it to this and you could just come in and re-download the template. But anyway, so for example, now I don't have debt currently. I have credit cards, but I don't carry the balance. I use them and then pay them off immediately so I could get the points and the cash back, but not get charged the interest. But for example purposes, let's say I have my Amex credit card, I have $1,000 balance and the APR is 26%. And this means my estimated minimum monthly payment is $30. And then you're going to put your credit limit. Let's say right here is $10,000. And then it's going to give you your credit utilization for that credit card. Now, real quick, is the reason I have this here is so that way you could track your credit cards and make sure that you are staying under a certain percentage, because you don't want to have it above 20-30% utilization, because then that really can hurt your credit score. Because a lot of people think like, oh, if I have 3 credit cards and they're $10,000 each, then that's $30,000. So, just 30% of that. And then you max one credit card out, it's still going to negatively impact you. It's crazy, but that's just how it works. And then down here, I put a mortgage of $78,000, and my monthly payment is $553. This was back in 2 years ago. That has gone up because of taxes and insurance. And then just for example purposes, I don't even have a car right now, so I don't have a car loan, but the goal is to get one this year. So I will be putting that in here, but right now I don't have one, so I don't know. So let's just say it's 24,000 and my monthly payment is 600. And so then you'll see that it has all the totals below. And so my debt to income ratio is 27%. So looking good right now, because you want to stay below like 40 to 43, because if you go above that, then you're going to have a really hard time getting financing, or you're going to really need a strong down payment, or they're just going to tell you that you need to pay some of that debt down. So yeah, so that is our debt. So how are you feeling? I know going through your debt is a little bit triggering. It's not fun to see how much you owe and all that, but it's something that you have to do. So now that the hard part is done, we have another hard part, but to me, in my opinion, is not as hard as debt. Debt is kind of like freaks a lot of people out, because especially if you have high debt. And again, this helps you understand how much you owe and has it right here. And eventually I'm going to put debt payoff plan on here. I just haven't had the time to actually add it on here, but you could always look for some online, and I'll link one that's free down below that's easy to use. Now, the next thing we want to look at to set our foundation is to understand our net worth right now, because if you haven't been tracking it, you should start tracking it. And then if you've been tracking it, this is a great time to update it and see where you ended the year, and you could set your goals. And I have a tab for that. Here's the net worth tracker. Pretty simple. You're basically just going to put what you have, your assets, and on the right side, you're going to put your liabilities. So liabilities are like your car loans, your mortgage, student loans, anything like that. And then on the left side, you're going to put like any cash, what you have on your checkings account, what you have in current savings, what do you have in 401k, things like that. Anything that is income, even like vehicles, or maybe you have some fine jewelry that is gold or whatever. You could put that in here and you could start tracking your net worth. And you could set your net worth goal. Right, for me right now I have 1 million, so I can go down, and currently I have basically 30K for, well, actually I have that in a high yield savings account. So if you're not using a high yield savings account, make sure you are. My 401k, I have 64,000, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I have a few episodes of where I talk about how I made a mistake with my 401k. Mine is called a thrift savings account, a thrift savings plan, not which is basically the military's 401k. And just kind of little short story is I didn't realize that I was sending money to it, and obviously I wasn't sending a lot when I first started in the military, and I had no clue what I was doing. So I was in what is called the G fund, and it's just bonds and stuff like that that give you barely any return. And so I wasted a lot of time. So I feel like I should have been way more, but it is what it is. Lessons learned. And then my house right now is kind of hard because we don't have a appraisal yet for our current house. So I'm just gonna put 320 based on like comps around here and just like lowballing it as well. My one of my rentals are 140. I don't have any cryptocurrency, so I'm just gonna put rental three because I have a third rental, and all of them are in the same kind of market. So I'm just gonna put like 135 as well. So I'll put 135, 135 on all of them. So I have three rentals. I don't wear jewelry, so I don't have anything fancy. I want to start collecting, especially gold, of course. Then what else do I have? Business. If you have a business, your equity, inventory, equipments. I don't have a car, so I can't put that. However, I do have another investment account. So it's M1 Finance, and this was one that I started. Like I just started putting into it, and I have 20,000 in there right now. I started this one almost at the end of COVID, middle of COVID. So I just started sending like $200 there. So yeah, that is where I'm at. And as you can see, my assets are 849. But now we have to go over here to the right side of the liabilities, and put all how much I owe. So for loans, I don't have any loans right now, but my mortgage is for my current house is 279. No, 287. 287. And then I don't have a car loan, so that's zero. One of the rental properties I have, let me pull up my notes app. My notes app properties. Put you over here for one of them, and it's not gonna matter what I put on it. I owe 100, 397. 397. Next one I owe 78, 358. 78, 358. And then the last one, 75, 377. 75, 377. And I don't have anything else. I don't have, again, I paid off all my debt. I don't have a car. I don't have student loans. So, and my credit cards, I pay them off immediately. So I don't count them. And I never have like a high balance on them. It's usually just paying like subscriptions and stuff or shopping or whatever. So now that I have all of that here, my net worth currently is 307. And my net worth goal is I want to hit $1 million. So on the right side, you'll see like a way to track it and kind of like see you go to it. So yeah, let me know what your net worth if you're not shy about it. And again, if it's not high, it's a starting point. Remember, at least we're doing something now. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel like it's easy to feel like, oh man, like even me at 307, someone might say like, oh wow, like, that's nice because somebody else has a lower one. But then I'm going to see someone that's like at 600 or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm behind. But no, doing it in my own pace, so don't get discouraged. Now we could get into the budgeting portion where we're going to go through and kind of see what our current expenses are and just do a snapshot of what we have been doing currently. And then this way we can, when we get to the portion of where we're like looking at our financial goals and things like that, we can go back and see where we can maybe cut back or increase like a savings or something like that. But before we get into the budget, you'll see that there's one for each month. You do have to go to the section where it says categories, because this is where you're going to put like expenses that you might already know. So, for example, mortgage and rent, or your rent, that's kind of like an expense that is pretty stable. So for us it's 3,800, and then we know the water and electric and internet and our phone. So you could go down this list and set up your expenses that you already know. Or if you want to do kind of like a budget of, like, for example, food, we put, or groceries, we put 400. It's definitely not that, so I actually under budgeted. And then same thing with restaurants and food deliveries, definitely not 800 now, because we don't order as much as we did when I also worked, so we had extra income. Now it's like, okay, no, maybe let's do 300. And actually now my husband just goes and gets it, so it's not even as bad. And then I don't go to the gym anymore. I just walk around here. I budget for a facial, but I gotta see how much, but I'm gonna leave it at 75. Mani, pedi, I guess 120 is what I want to budget for. Massage, I usually pay 75. And then my shots, actually, I do take GLP ones, which, by the way, I have lost about 30, over 30 pounds now, and that runs me at 300 a month. It's actually cheaper over here, so that's been nice. Let's see, double checking. I actually don't know what my actual electric bill is right now, because we just got one for the first time since we just moved. But our internet's about no, our internet's 120, I believe. I'll go back, right? And then our phone's about 300. Let's see, that's there. And then high yield savings account, I was putting 500, 529 for my stepson and my daughter. I sent 200, so $100 each account. 401k, I put like 350 because I'm paying off a loan that I took from it. And then investment, still doing, sending 200 to M1 Finance. And then childcare is actually 800 because I do stay at home, so I just pay like my sister to come over and watch her a few days out of the week for a few hours, so I could get stuff like recording this. And then clothing, I put 200. By the way, it's kind of like, I just have that there. Pet food expenses, I don't have any pets anymore, unfortunately. I had to put my German Shepherd down a few months ago, so now that was kind of a bummer because I wanted him to make it here to the land and live the last of his days here. But unfortunately, his hips gave out, which caused him to have a really bad spinal injury, and he just lost function, and so just had to let him go. And then, but I'm still gonna leave $100 because I do plan on having chickens, and if I remember correctly, it's about, with all this stuff, it's about $100. And other than that, that's it for that. Netflix, $20. And actually I'm gonna remove Disney because it's included with my Amex. They pay for one subscription. Actually, that's with the phone, and then this one's with the Amex. So both of those are basically free because I get statement credits. Now for income, again, I'm just gonna put mine here. These were old ones, and so I don't want to include that right now. So once you do that, you go through here and put all your expenses and your income. Then that's going to carry over. If we go to the month January, it's going to automatically pull that and put it in the, let me make this a little bit smaller. Hopefully, it's going to pull that and put it in the categories, right? And then now you can, I have a little section for monthly goals right here, and you could check them off. Here is going to tell you the month. In right here is going to tell you the total income. Then, so at the bottom, the gray is going to be what you inputted, and then on top is going to be your actual. Same thing with the total spent, and same thing with your remaining funds. So down here, you don't want to input here, but all of this is going to be your budget. It's going to input all your stuff already in here. And then each month you could enter how much you actually made, and it'll give you the totals down here. And then up here, you're not going to enter anything unless you want to change here. All right, so now once you do all the categories and all that information, when you go to the actual month for the budget, it's going to pull all that information automatically for you and put it under the section for budget, because this is what you're budgeting for. And so a quick little walkthrough of what the budget looks like. Up top is going to tell you the month that you're in, and then it's going to calculate your total income. The one in gray is what you're budgeting for, and the one on top is what it ended up being. Same thing with the total spent, and same thing with your remaining funds. So, and then you'll have like a bar graph and a pie graph to give you a visual of like how you did for that month. You also have a little section for monthly goals that you could check off. You might get like a little warning sign that pops up saying like, hey, be careful, but just, silence that. That's just so that way you don't mess up by accident the formulas. If you happen to just go back and re-download the template, it's not going to mess up my template. But as you scroll down, you'll see that it has everything that we inputted in the categories already there for you. So then you can set your budget and say like, okay, so I'm going to get 4,400 for income for the month, and then I expect for housing 4720, etc. Now, as you go through your month down here, or if you like to do it at the end or whatever, down here is where you will put what actually the expenses were, and up here you could put in the yellow your actual income. And so then all of that's going to automatically calculate. And so you could just double click for the date, put like, I don't know, let's say 200, and then you'll do the drop down for whatever. Again, the drop down menu is going to be available and for whatever you put on there. So let's say it was electric. So then I put the 200, and as you can see over here, it automatically updated that. So now I have a running tally of $200 already for the housing budget. And then as you can see, it adjusted here on what I spent so far, 400. You can see it'll start breaking down how much you're spending per category. So this is going to be helpful. Go through this. I'm not going to do mine right now because really it's mostly housing. Again, I don't have a lot of bills. We kind of pay all our stuff with my husband's income from his work from home job. And then my stuff is just like stuff for me and to invest in real estate. So as you go through this, if you don't know what, just estimate your expenses, and that will create your monthly budget. And include down here, I have your debts where you can add here how much you're putting per for a credit card or a car loan, whatever, put it there. Okay. And then down here, you could put like how much you're paying for your loans, and it's going to start tracking that for you. And so all of this, your investments and savings and all that, is going to go into your savings summary. So I created a tab for you to track all of that, your savings and your investments, etc. And so then you can set goals. So for example, in your high yield savings account, you want to have, I don't know, $10,000, right? then you could put right here what your goal is, and then it'll start tracking what you put. So for example, if I went to January and I go down here and I put that today I put, I don't know, 500 into my high yield savings account, and there we go, then it's going to update here. And then when you go to your savings summary, you could see that it put the 500 on there. And then on the upper left, you'll see 500 on the high yield savings. And then the bar graph is going to start giving you a visual that my goal is 10,000 and I'm right here. I'm making progress towards it. And so that's going to help you for your savings and your investments, all of that. So, what I want you to do is go through what you've done the past 3 months or whatever and see what expenses, what you spent your money on, and all that. And so, take some time and reflect on like what your thoughts are on what you see on your audit, something that you could have done better, or are you okay with what you've done? Now, the last tab that you want to look at is the yearly summary. That's where everything from your savings, your debt, that's going to go in here, and it's going to give you a breakdown of what you did for the year. So it's going to give you your estimated annual post tax income. So this is after your taxes. That's one thing I forgot to mention. When you put that income in there, due after taxes, that's what you're getting for your paycheck, right? So that hence why it's estimated annual post tax income, because you already pay like your income tax and all that stuff. So, and then it's going to give you your actual total income, amount spent for the year, and remaining funds for the year if you went negative, right? So on the right here in this little section is going to give you your yearly savings and expense, the categories. For savings, it's going to give you just everything combined. If you want like the breakdown, then you go to the savings summary, and then that's going to give you a detailed. But here's kind of just like a snapshot what you did as far as savings. It'll give you your budget and what you actually did. Same thing with all your expenses, your budget. So it's going to give you a good visual of how your year went, and this is going to help you see what you did. All right, so now that was kind of a little tedious, but it's something that we did have to take some time to do. Now we can go into analyzing what happened in our finances over the year. Like, how are you feeling? What do you think that you could have done better? Are you surprised? Are you actually better off than you thought? Or are you worse than you thought? Again, this is not to make you feel bad or make you feel guilty of a financial choice that you may have made that you feel that you could have done better. For me, there's definitely some things that I wish I could have done a little bit better. But again, this is for planning purposes, to set that foundation, to set that starting point so we can actually now move ahead and start planning your budget. So that's the next thing that we have to do, is go and set our goals. All right, now is time to set your season. Now, a lot of times we are so quick to jump into our financial goals, but before we do that step, you want to understand and align your finances, your money, with your season. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times we see all these like financial influencers or just people on social media that they might mention their financial goals of maybe they want to max out their investment accounts, they want to buy X amount of rental properties or whatever. And so sometimes we are feeling some type of way that we need to also do that, but you need to understand that your journey is your own and it's unique. After we've done this financial audit, you might notice that, hey, you know what? I actually have more debt than I thought, or my expenses are too high, and plus my debt, that I actually need to focus this year on paying down some debt or maybe cutting down some expenses in order to maybe save for a down payment or whatever. And so your season might need to just stabilize. Maybe you overspent and you see that you kind of were all over the place with your finances. So maybe you want to have this year or maybe this quarter or half a year, whatever your timeline is, to just learn some money management, cut back your expenses, just stabilize your finances. Or maybe you are better than you thought and you paid down more debt or you're done paying your debt. And now your season is growth and investment. And now you want to step into that and you want to start maxing out that investment account or whatever. Or maybe you're actually way better off and now you actually want to scale. So, for example, with me, now I already went through my season of stabilizing and I paid down my debt. So, as you can see, now I don't have to worry about any of that besides my expenses, which we also spent time in lowering all our expenses because my husband and I, we both don't have debt. We don't really have to worry too much about childcare because I'm at home. And again, my sister helps out and I pay her obviously, but I don't have to pay for every single day because I'm here. So now my season is growth this year. So now I'm really going to focus on scaling in investing in my rental properties. I don't think I'm going to plan in maxing out my investment accounts for myself because again, I'm focusing on real estate, but I am going to focus on increasing investing for my kid and maxing out, trying to put as much, if I can't max it out, putting as much into their 529 and their investment accounts. And also, one thing I'm going to look into this year is also getting them a Roth IRA, a self-directed Roth IRA, by paying them an income through my businesses, right? And so that's my season. Again, you might be at a different season and that's okay. Don't feel rushed. Again, it's on your journey. You definitely don't want to follow the footsteps of somebody else's journey that might be in a different season. So align yourself with other people that can relate to you. So that way you're not tempted to kind of like stretch yourself thin trying to keep up with somebody else that is in a different season. And again, there's no shame in that, okay? Just make sure whatever you decide, it reflects your finances. So just take some time and ask yourself, do you need a pause? Do you need to stabilize? Do I actually need to push, my investments, savings or whatever? Was it a chaotic year? I know with this past year, like a lot of stuff was happening. Like it was layoffs, there was tariffs, high cost of living, groceries, all of that. So it was pretty chaotic. So maybe it's time to just like set that foundation. But yeah, just listen at what your finances are telling you. And with that in mind, now you can go and set your financial goals based on what fits your needs and what season you are in. And here's the thing, you don't need to have like 10 plus goals. That's one of the things that I had a habit of doing, that I wanted to have so many goals of like, oh, I want to do this, this, and that. So I'm going to limit myself to maybe 3 to 5 goals, a few personal ones and a few like family ones, and try to slow down but still grow strategically because again, I am in my growing season, I'm in my scaling season, but again, I don't want to feel like I need to rush and do everything and scale so fast. But when you set your goals, and I'm going to do another episode on setting financial goals. Again, this is going to be a series of setting your finances up for 2026, but just remember to set your financial goals using the SMART method, making sure that you have a plan, that they're measurable, that it's something that is actually achievable for you, and don't set yourself up for failure. Just small steps. Any step is better than just standing still. But other than that, that's it for auditing your finances and resetting and setting that foundation. This is going to be part of a series, and I'll make it into a playlist for YouTube for getting your money right. So the next video that we're going to talk about is actually more of a mental one, because we're going to get into some of the financial anxiety. And then after that, we're going to actually talk about setting financial goals. So make sure you tune in, you subscribe, or follow the podcast to make sure that you're notified when the episode drops. Other than that, let me know any thoughts. And if you have any feedback for the spreadsheet, definitely let me know. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, because that's where I will be notifying when I add that debt portion, the debt payoff calculator. And also, I have a lot of useful information in my newsletter. So all that information is linked down below. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.